Hello, everybody. My name's Linda Baker, and I'm joined by our panel members today, Reverend Linda Burdett, Susan Jarboe, Cathy Richman, and Cathy Cronin. Let's take a moment for an opening prayer before we begin our discussion. If you'll please take a breath and center into that holy place within yourself where you surrender your truth unto God. Heavenly Father, we gather here seeking your blessings and offering ourselves to you so that your love can be spread, felt, and heard where needs be. We thank you through faith and with gratitude when negativity and evil's energy is defeated and we successfully share with others the abundance and steadfastness of your love for all of us. Hold close our souls and allow us to evolve and walk upright in the image of Christ and do something beautiful today and always for you. In Jesus Christ's name, I leave open my life and prayer. Today, I just want to tell you about the chaos on my countertop. It's a discussion about dealing with stress. And mostly I'm going to focus on Reverend Winifred Wilkinson Hausmen from Unity. And her subject, she began with a snippet on how to cope with everyday living. But before I do, I just want to say a few things. In her writing, she recognized that stress affects your mental and your physical and your emotional capabilities. And while researching this, I found in other articles before I settled on hers to really talk about here, that they too say that stress can affect you physically by causing headaches and muscle tension and fatigue. The other references I used were the CDC and OSHA and the American Psychological Association. The advice for control and prevention explains that when stress exceeds the ability to cope, balance in the mind and body need to be restored. The 4 A's for stress management are avoid, alter, accept, adapt. Their recommendations are using guided meditation, practice deep breathing, maintain physical exercise and good nutrition, manage social media time, and connect with others in a social or church group. Take a moment for nature because green spaces improve moods. Let me mention what stress feels like: irritability, anger, impatience, overburden, overwhelmed, wound up, anxious, nervous, afraid, racing thoughts you can't dismiss, not enjoying yourself, depression, losing interest in life, losing your sense of humor, your face is flushed, more emotional than usual, trouble remembering or keeping track of things, procrastination, can't concentrate or solve problems. Some people are actually more sensitive and reactive to stress. Apparently, temperament and personality traits affect it. Some can be more resilient because of it, while others are threatened by it. And as age progresses, stress gets worse. Ms. Hausman's advice is to control stress through biblical means. Once again, we hear how science meets religion. I've eliminated the Bible stories from this talk, but I'm giving you the meat and the potatoes of her technique. How much stress can a person take before they give up? Through spiritual methods, she says, we condition ourselves and minds so that we don't succumb to the pressure that defeats others. Stress happens through us, not to us. It's not the events that cause stress, but our reaction to it. So in taking it on, she explains the best time to handle stress is when it's first noticed, when it first starts to arise. Even if it goes on beyond that point, it can still be dissolved by relieving the pressure and turn to the God power within. Become still and listen. Don't try to force your own way. Don't talk about a lot about the stressful issue, such as she did this to me, because it depletes your personal energy power supply. Again, become still and speak to your thoughts, nerves, and muscles with words of peace and in quietness. Pray about having to make a decision. Let God make the decisions. Listen in prayer for solutions. In another segment, she discusses how to establish priorities. Priorities. If we focus our attention on things and activities of the outer world first, we will always suffer from stressful feelings. When we choose to scatter our forces in trying to accomplish a multitude of fragmented, inconsequential tasks, we are determining that there will not be time to finish the most important jobs. And we may end up feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, and irritated. Some priorities are determined by our emotional reaction to it, which takes over without a conscious direction on your part. Put small things in a larger concept. Set your priorities as living to fulfill God's plan for you. You have to adapt this principle to relieve stress. Let me say that one more time. Set your priorities as living to fulfill God's plan for you. Once that's established, you realize you have no place for negative energy like anger, fear, frustration, or fear of failing. You start walking the defined path. Reach to feel a sense of joy in your achievements with the realization of your own powers and abilities at work. Concentrate on the job at hand is the key to accomplishment. You may ask, why do I have so many things to do? And in the silence, you will hear, because you can handle them. Divine order is based on divine direction all the time, with or without conscious thought about it. It's the key to establishing proper priorities and living a stress-free life. Stress is in the working and in the sports, especially when they create income. Competition in God's world is not against each other. It is bettering yesterday's performance and together seeking excellence to unfold God's plan through our lives. This is accomplished without stress or strain. Take the coach's advice and play your game. And this has been just a few of the snippets I found comfort in while trying to clear the chaos on my countertop as the tax deadline quickly approaches, where I render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. She discusses that subject too in her segment on how to master money matters at truthunity.net. Now I invite my fellow panel members to offer any advice they might have to help anyone in our audience experiencing stress defeat it. Maybe this brings to mind a mountain of stress you personally encountered and what you did right to overcome it. What did stumbling through it teach you? And when did God come in and take hold of your hand?
Oh, wow. Linda, you have an amazing way with words. I mean, you just, the way you put this all together, from clearing your countertop to, it was wonderful. And I tried to take notes, and you said this coping with everyday life. Stress affects our physical being, our fatigue. You used 3 or 4 stories to illustrate that. I liked the 4 words: avoid, alter, accept, adapt. I wrote those down. I'm going to put those somewhere I can see those, because I think going back and looking at those can really be helpful. You said that stress gets worse with age. Amen. I see that. And is spiritually, don't succumb to the pressure. It's not the event, it's our reaction to it. And then you went on to say, don't talk about the issue. It depletes your power supply. So if my neighbor dog is out there barking and stressing me, and then I'm going and telling all my other neighbors about it, all that's doing is depleting my supply, is making my stress worse. So, you don't have to go tell everybody. And then the priorities are, we're living to fulfill God's plan for you. Number one priority. So I could have taken a lot more notes, but I wrote down the things that really, really spoke to me. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful topic that you brought up, is something we all deal with. And you gave me some tips that I've written down, and I'm going to put them in bold print where I can see them. So thank you so much. Appreciate it, Linda.
Cathy. Yeah.
So, I was going to say, you covered this topic in completion. I mean, you took us from what causes it to how to overcome it, and then to the spiritual side of, turning it into, letting let God take our hand, and, when are we letting him, move us forward? And I just find that everything you said was so filled with so great, just the great advice. It really fit, for me. I know when I'm in stress, I forget things more often. I can remember at a point in time years ago when I was planning my wedding, and I was all stressed about doing things like that. And I'd gone out and bought a sewing machine to sew some things, make favors and stuff like that, and put the sewing machine in the trunk of my car along with the keys, and closed the car. And it was like, this is what happens when I get stressed out. I do things like that. Here I am with my car keys locked in the trunk. And I that still sits with me, because it was sort of like, I know I do stupid things when I let stress take over my life. Things that I would never normally do. So it's like, take that deep breath, let it go, turn it over to God. Can I change this? Can I do anything different with it, and just move forward? And the stress of doing your taxes, this is a very stressful time for people. As a tax preparer, I know how many of my people come to me and go, oh, help me out. They're in panic state, and it's just, it's there. It'll happen. It comes every year. We can't, stress over it, and Uncle Sam will take his fair share. And so it's just part of, some of it too, is to relieve the stress, is planning ahead. And I know when I was moving from Detroit to California, and I was in a lot of stress of packing up the house and settling everything. And advice that I was given is, every night before I go to bed, is write my to-do list for the next day, so that I took that stress out of my sleep. And in the morning, I had clear solutions as to what to prioritize, and things fell into place. So it was sort of like, not doing the to-do list in the morning, is doing it before I go to bed at night. I'll get a restful sleep, and the solutions will be there for me in the morning as to what needs to be done. So that was a great way of handling stress in my life. And I still do that when I find that I'm stressed out, is, I don't want to take it. I don't want to take that consciousness into my subconscious when I'm sleeping, and I want to just turn it over to God. At that point in time, the answers in the morning, and everything will be taken care of. So thank you so much for sharing that topic with us.
As a counselor, part of my job was relapse prevention as a drug and alcohol counselor. And one of the most important parts of that was stress awareness and stress management. Whatever your shortcomings are, they are exacerbated by stress. if we understand that stress is related to our fight or flight system, and there are different levels of stress. Low levels of stress can be very motivating. If I am trying to prepare a presentation for the team and I know the team's working on it, I may have some stress underneath that deadline that really keeps me motivated. Okay, I'll work 2 more hours to get it ready for the deadline. But at a certain point, when we are in stress, we lose our ability to remember things from our past. And that's that fight or flight that kicks in. When I'm in that fight or flight stress level, I can't remember the name of my kindergarten teacher or maybe even what I ate for dinner the other night, because those things are not important to keeping me alive. And when I've kicked into fight or flight, that's what it's about. Safety, survival, and staying alive. Not only can I not remember things from my past, but I am not laying down new memories. So if I am in a very highly stressful situation, I may not be able to remember exactly what was said and what happened. And if I know that, I can prepare for it. I'll give you a quick example. When I was counseling, I was doing an intake with the gentleman who attacked me. And when it was over, the people in the room, especially a psychologist that I worked with, I told her, I wish I'd said this, this, and this. And she said, you did. You said every one of those things. Well, I had no memory of it. In the moment, I was at the top level of stress. I was being attacked and I didn't remember what I had or had not said. But the people in the room all told me, you said that. And it's like, wow, I don't even remember. So if I'm going into a stressful situation, if I'm going to court and I'm facing an attacker, or I'm fighting for the custody of a child, or I'm talking to a doctor about a life or death situation, I'm going to bring somebody with me who is not as stressed out in the situation as I am, and let that person have my memories and kind of bounce off what happened with the other person, so that I've got a more clear cut answer to the situation. I've heard a lot of great ways of remedying stress as we talked. I just wanted to talk about stress on the continuum. And no, when you get to the point where you are not remembering, you are not thinking clearly, doesn't mean you're losing your mind. It just means you are overstressed. Taking a breath, walking away, taking notes, having lists written down, asking for the information to be given to you in writing are all wonderful ways of dealing with those high levels of stress. So thanks for letting me share.
Great. Susan.
Well, like Cathy, I saw or heard you do everything, the whole gamut of stress. And you had so many different ideas in there. We could take one of those ideas and do a whole session on the ideas. Also, like Cathy, I liked the 4 words, the 4 A's. And I think I'm going to do something like that too, in putting it on my refrigerator or whatever. A couple of things struck me. You had a sentence, I jotted it down. Stress happens through us, not to us. And I really like that sentence, because we bring a lot of this on ourselves in terms of the way we react to the world and to events that we can't control, or perhaps even some we can control. I was surprised, getting older. I somehow had this vision that as you got older, life would get easier in terms of stress. I mean, you'd still have tornadoes and earthquakes and all of those kinds of things. And that has not been the case. And for instance, here's something I did the other day. You can laugh at this. I was taking a pie out of the oven and I dropped it. And so I had raspberry pie all over my kitchen floor. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I did that. But I'm trying to teach myself to laugh about things instead of beating myself up about things. And so I laughed. But it's, oh, okay. So that's me. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the world in general. Back in the late 70s, I was working at the University of Wisconsin Hospital and Clinics, and I was a management trainer kind of person. And the internal operations officer said, we need stress management for our staff here. Go get one, go find out. And so I hired a psychologist who was really great. And we put on stress management courses for people in the hospital. The thing is, if you look at the world today, the pressures that are on us are more than they were. It's we as a people have more stress than before. Little decisions like what brand of potato chips do I get? When there's a whole aisle, making that decision can be stressful. So I would, well, in psychology, as you know, psychologists are talking about this, that our young people are affected by stress. So this notion that stress happens through us, not to us, is a thought I wish we could put out there for everybody to understand. So thank you very much, Linda, for bringing up this topic.
Well, thank you all very much for your input. It adds essence to my message that I could possibly conceive, more than so much so. But I'll tell you, truly, our messages together are blessings for those in need of hearing them. And I feel our efforts returning already to us as joy. Did anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? Well, to our audience, I thank you for tuning in to our discussion here today. And we hope you will decide to subscribe to hearing these comments of living and sharing spiritual principles with us again. We invite you to leave your comments before moving on. In sharing this short time with us, we also hope you have found new friends and new companionships here. We look forward to another opportunity of you allowing us into your day or night in troubled times or when you're seeking comfort. Whenever you feel like you want to, or wherever you may be, whatever you thirst for, we offer you these as refreshments. Your opinion is welcome in the comments or by contacting Unity Church of El Cajon in California. We're signing off now, asking only that you go in peace, be open to God's love, and wear it like a blanket woven especially for you whenever life's chilly challenges cross your path.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.